clear water. Nice, clear water. Beautiful. Tally, Miami, Palm Beach, East Point. I know East Point, St. George Island. Graceville, Florida. Nice. Hello, Celine. Good afternoon. Mariana Caverns. Mariana, Florida. Beautiful. Miami. Mommy. That's what they say in Miami. In Miami. Mommy. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you, Elizabeth. Welcome. Panama City. Fort Pierce. Wow. It's a tour, Jean-Marc. It's a tour of Florida here. Beautiful. Sanford. Lake Mary. Beautiful, Sabrina. Excellent, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Vero Beach. Wow, we live in I'm a Florida boy, even though I'm here in Turkey right now. Part of my heart's always in Florida. Most of my heart's here in Turkey right now. All right, all right. So, okay, well, let's get started here. Just want to give some music credit to my brothers in music. That's the Maharaja Flamenco Trio. Shameless plug here if you liked what you listened to. I'm going to type the website where you can listen to more Maharaja Flamenco Trio, not Flamingo, but Flamenco. So everybody, again, thank you for being here. Welcome to our webinar, an online support guide for Florida administrators of adult education. My name is Ramin Yazdanpana, and together with my friend and colleague, Jean-Marc Wise. Say hello, Jean-Marc.
Hello, everyone.
We will introduce a newly developed online guide designed for Florida administrators of adult education. So through guided activities and resources, this online resource is designed to support administrators of adult education on I'm going to say your journey, because I'm assuming that you're either administrator or administrative staff, to learn about the requirements and resources available to support your adult education programs. So of course, this webinar is highly recommended for all Florida adult education administrators and staff. Okay, so before we jump into the content, just a few key points to know how to interact today. So to keep questions and answers organized, we'll use the Q&A option mostly at the end of the webinar, but you're also welcome to use the chat for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar as well. Please use the chat option for interaction during our webinar. Feel free to use exclamation points, smiley faces, sad faces, whatever to express your tone and emotion. Unfortunately, you'll only be in listen only mode. So the more you can engage in the Q&A and in the chat, the better. Okay, and we'll definitely be prompting you at some points during our webinar. So our friends at IPDAY have provided this presentation in PDF format on the IPDAY website, and the recording will be available within 48 hours after our webinar for review and for sharing. So I'll post actually the link that will take you directly to that space on the IPDAY website. So there you go. I just posted it in our chat. So feel free to copy and paste that or click that to open up a different tab in your browser and to check out later. So with that said, this webinar is going to be especially important to share because there's this resource that we're presenting today is actually meant for you to engage in and to share with your colleagues. So Let's see here. All right. So let me just give you a little bit brief outline here. Sorry, having little difficulties with my navigation here. All right. So a brief outline of our webinar. We'll discuss a rationale of what kind of led us to develop this course. What was the need, right, to develop this online guide for adult education administrators. We'll also talk about the development process of the online support guide, as well as to actually just show you the guide and give you a little tour, okay, of the resource, as well as provide opportunities for Q&A and for your suggestions. So, as you might have experienced, it can be challenging to navigate the labyrinth of resources necessary for administering adult education programs, as well as just staying up to date with new policies and procedures. We developed this online guide as a repository for documents, websites, and guided activities to support administrators and staff in understanding the requirements and resources available to lead and support your adult education programs. We utilize the learning management system Canvas to organize the online guide as an educational tour of prominent adult education topics and resources. Our goal was to make learning about and accessing resources more convenient, and I dare say, even enjoyable. Okay, so finally, we also wanted to make this resource to be relevant and useful to all administrators and staff, but particularly to those new to their positions. This online support guide is meant to serve as an orientation to the role and responsibilities of Florida adult education administrators. And it was also our intention to support and cultivate a community of practice among you all, among Florida adult education administrators and administrative staff, through opportunities for discussion and exchange activities. In our interviews that Jean-Marc and I conducted as we were gathering information and just kind of conducting a needs analysis, we observed, the willingness that administrators have to support each other, right? And so we hope this resource will help you to continue to help each other. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to turn over the presentation to Jean-Marc. Jean-Marc, you are muted.
So
there you go.
We got it loaded.
Yes.
All right. So just very briefly, won't spend a long time on this, but it was an interesting case. It's not just a regular course. It's more of a repository that gives an opportunity for users of the repository to share and to contribute and to communicate with one another. So initially, we received a set of DOE objectives, and they were grouped into 7 groups and a bunch of objectives that were kind of like giving us the sense of what needs to be in here, what are we trying to achieve. And as you know, objectives are, a very specific way to measure something that somebody needs to be able to do. So with that, we said, well, let's take a step back and see what the administrators currently out there, how they feel. And we did some interviews, some survey type interviews, where we created 4 areas of inquiry about them, about their background, about their needs, and then also asked them to review this initial list of DOE objectives. With that, we revised that input we revised, and we came up with 6 module level outcomes. So we kind of turned those groupings that we had initially into modules. And we said every module has a module level outcome, and then it has a number of objectives that are relevant for the module. And then in some cases, we have sub-objectives. So there's a long list, but that's what we need in order to get specific. We're going to move into a poll now, but before I launch the poll, I want to give you an opportunity to think about this. So we're going to look at these 6 outcomes, which are the 6 module level objectives. And I'm going to read those out to you, and then you'll be asked to vote for your favorite one. And that one is going to be one of the focuses during our tour. Depending on which one it is, it might be the only focus, or we might have more time during the tour to look at another one as well. So the first module, explain how adult education is managed at the state level in Florida. The second module is to provide an overview of adult education programs in Florida. For the third module, the outcome is that administrators will be able to explain adult education assessment options in Florida. Next module, number 4, meet accountability and its performance requirements for the adult education programs that you're responsible for. Number 5, secure funding for your programs through grants. And finally, identify organizations that provide professional developments, resources, and materials that you might be able to use. I'm going to go ahead and launch our poll. You have 1 minute or so to put in your answers, and then we'll go ahead and share that.
They're rolling in, Jean-Marc. They're rolling in. It's neck to neck right now. We should have made a bet about this, Jean-Marc, before this poll.
I know. I'm seeing a little less activity at this point, but some people are still. Again, we're about 70% participation at this point. Of course, it's not mandatory. If you choose not to, that's fine. Don't feel guilty if you don't end up participating. I just want to make sure you have time to think about it.
All right. It's not a test either.
No, of course not. No. And it's anonymous. We don't know who said what, so we're not going to go
right.
All right. Last call.
I think we got a clear winner here, huh?
Yeah, it looks like we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll. Right. I'm gonna share the results here, and you guys can see this. As you can see, the accountability question really seems to be the one that lots of people are very interested in. So what we're going to do is when Ramin launches into the tour in just a minute, we're going to give a quick overview of the whole thing just to get a sense for how it's structured, but then he's going to spend a lot of extra time in module 4. All right, I'm going to stop sharing that, and we can go on with the slides. Let's see here. There. All right, so very briefly, again, we wanted to share with you how we went about to kind of construct this. So we did a little bit of a needs analysis. We ended up with some objectives and outcomes. And then we created what we're calling a course planner, which is just a Word document. It has a table in it, and it lists the units. And for each unit, we want to know what are the objectives. And then we go across and we say, for this objective, what is going to be the assessment? Because it's no use having an objective if you don't have some way of knowing whether the objective has been reached. So every objective should have at least one type of assessment. Could be a quiz, could be something else. Resources that you might need to be able to work on this and reach the objective, and then some other things like, we want to have a storyline, and we want to have some media and things, and you'll see some of that in a minute here as well. The learner experience is next. So we'll say, okay, so now we know what's going into it, but how are you going to experience this? So we decided to kind of create this journey, and Ramin is going to talk a little bit more about that. But you'll have people. Here is one of these people, Kevin, and these people are basically there in specific locations, giving you information that is relevant to that particular module. So you'll see more about that a little bit later on. And finally, of course, we had to build this in Canvas, and there's an environment you also see as a user where you can get into the modules, you can open these things up, and the pieces within the modules that are opened up, and you can navigate through them that way. All right, so that sums up this part, and I'm going to stop my share and give it back to Ramin so he can give you the tour.
All right, thank you, Jean-Marc. And I just wanted to mention and plug an upcoming webinar that Jean-Marc and I are actually presenting. When is that, Jean-Marc? I think it's April 25th.
I think
It's a Technical Tuesday webinar, and it's called A Wise Approach to Designing Online Courses. So if you're interested in, Jean-Marc just gave a very, very brief overview there of that course planner and kind of what went into designing this resource that we're presenting today. But if you're interested in taking a deeper dive into understanding that process, I just encourage you to attend that webinar as well. Really helpful for designing in-person or online courses, right? So I learned a lot collaborating with Jean-Marc, so I highly recommend it. Okay, so let me go ahead. Let me actually first just share this slide here about the learner experience design before we take the tour. So as I mentioned before, this online support guide is a repository for documents, websites, guided activities to support administrators in understanding the requirements and resources available to lead and support your adult education programs. The organization of the online guide also makes finding and accessing resources more convenient, as well as provides context for how to utilize the documents. That was very important, right? It wasn't just a dump of documents. We wanted to make this a story, right? And so that's what we use, this kind of game board theme that you see here, which is just this kind of map, right? Like we're taking kind of a trip, right? A tour together across the state of Florida, visiting different locations across the state of Florida, and where participants are greeted by adult education content experts who orient and guide participants on the different topics, resources, and activities. This resource can be accessed and reviewed and completed asynchronously, right? So it's totally self-guided. And I'll provide you with a QR code and a URL that allows you to self-enroll at the end of our presentation here. And so in addition to that, we're also going to look at some activities that include just kind of review quiz activities to remember some of the key concepts and terms that are associated with these resources for adult education administrators. Okay, so let me go ahead and just let's look at this thing. We're talking about it. Let's look at it. So here it is. Okay, so here we are at the home page. So welcome home. This is the student view that you're seeing here. And as you see on this home page, it's called Open Enrollment, New Administrators of Adult Education. So it's open enrollment. It's going to be open. It now is actually open and available to everyone who would like to enroll in this resource, in this training, in this guide. So you'll see here on the home page a walkthrough video that gives an overview of how to navigate, okay, this training and this guide, as well as some contact information. Now, there are two ways to enter this home, okay? One is through this menu, and you'll see that these are aligned with those outcomes that Jean-Marc read out. And we see accountability and performance, right? So we could click right in there, and that's totally fine. You don't have to enter this starting, from number one, right? You can just go into the topic that is of the greatest importance, curiosity for you. But we do suggest once you kind of enter in there to try to go in, starting from the beginning to the end, so you don't miss any important information along the way. Now, personally, I like to go to the modules tab, and I like the view that the modules tab gives, because you can see everything that's in each module, right? Just by clicking here, you can see all of the topics, right? All of these kind of subtopics within the greater topic or outcome um, that we discovered were the most urgent and the most needed by adult education administrators in Florida. So let's take a look here at Module 4, Accountability and Performance. Since I think that was 40%. I know it was hard to choose. I saw the chat, but you don't have to choose. You can go in here and explore this more on your own, and we encourage you to do so, of course. But if we just take this big view here of this module level view for accountability and performance, let's read some of these subtopics. So we have accountability and performance, federal accountability, pathways to measurable skills, data reporting overview, right, with some sub categories there, monitoring visits, program change management. And then you'll see here this assignment. And so this was this assignment is actually present in all of the modules. And this was Jean-Marc and I thought that it was important to kind of help to keep track, right, to take notes as you're going through this. So this is an assignment that we provide to prompt those of you who are taking, who are exploring this resource, to take notes, to keep track of the resources, of the websites, of the terms, using this notebook activity assignment. You'll see also this discussion. So in this discussion area here, this is a place where it's a discussion board. So those who visit this discussion can contribute to this discussion board. And that's kind of leaving a message, right, for the next person who comes along, and they can respond to that message. And as people post messages and respond to the messages, you actually should receive a notification that someone has responded, right, to that discussion. So in this way, we're starting to kind of like help facilitate and build this community of practice for administrators and really source information and knowledge from the ground up. And then in each module, we also had this participant feedback. So this is really critical because we understand, as I'm sure you do, that feedback is very much necessary and required and appreciated, so we can continue to improve this resource. So once participants go through each module, they're prompted to take this participant feedback. So none of this is graded. This is not a course. This is, everything is voluntary, but we wouldn't put anything in here that we didn't think would be helpful, right? So doing everything and starting from the beginning here at 4.0, let's click in here and see what this looks like. Okay. So welcome to Module 4. In this module, we will connect to resources and engage in activities to prepare you to meet your specific accountability and performance goals. Having one or more accountability partners within your program, and even across the state of Florida, can help to ensure you're on the right track. In this module, Sherry will serve as our virtual accountability partner. Together, our goal is to understand how to meet accountability and performance requirements for your adult education programs. And then we have Sherry here kind of explaining a little bit our objectives here for this module. And then you can see here in the module that it has all of this lovely menu here where you can click through, okay, the module for federal accountability, pathways to measurable skill gains, data reporting, data review and reporting, monitoring visits, and finally program change management. In this front page of each module, you'll also see the module outcome and unit objectives. Okay, so those are very clear, as well as all of the documents and web pages that you will encounter, right, throughout each kind of like unit within the module. So this is just a nice kind of space where everything is included. So if you wanted to, again, our one of our goals was to make this convenient and accessible, right? So this is something that we are always going to keep an eye on to update as these documents are renewed. So you can click here also to navigate. Like I said, you can click through here. You can also navigate it by clicking next at the bottom. Okay, and then as you can see here, this is for federal accountability, the WIOA and NRS. Okay, guides. So it provides some definitions, again, context, okay, as well as embed webinars that wonderful organizations across the state, such as IPDE, such as the Florida Department of Education, provide. I mean, there's so much great information, and it can be lost because it's so difficult to locate. And so that is where we've tried to embed these great resources within the course. Thank you, Elizabeth. We appreciate that comment there. And again, I mentioned this quiz. So test your knowledge by taking this quiz. So basically, again, don't get scared, right? Because it's a quiz. This quiz is just for you to just see, hey, what do you know and what do you need to maybe review, okay? And so this can be utilized by, just personally. It can also be, done within groups. So if you have a group of administrators and administrative staff, at your site, you can do this together. You can set kind of a plan, a syllabus for you to take this and then get together, in person to discuss what you've learned. I mean, that's probably the best way actually to go about doing this. And then, of course, we have the resources, documents, and web pages. Again, now pathways to measurable skill gains. And this is a great video provided by the FDOE, by Rachel Ludwig, the former director, all right, of professional development. So that's a nice resource that was shared there. Again, test your knowledge. And here's the PowerPoint actually for you to download and to share as well. We have this data reporting overview, okay? And again, it provides context and understanding resources that are relevant to your program. So this is where it's kind of broken down on what resources do you need to access based on if are you in the college system, are you a school district, or are you a community-based organization, right? Because depending on what your site is, that's going to determine, right, what resources and what kind of pathways you need to utilize. Okay, a little learning activity here. Again, resources at the bottom of this. And we have data validation and data quality, okay? So I'm just gonna kind of go through this. I think you all get the idea that there's a lot of great content here. You can go through and take your time with this. I just wanna kind of click through best practices in data reporting. Okay, this is a heavy this is a heavy module here, and I'm sure that's why you all chose this one. But here we also have some information, right? Some resources and contacts. And so this is very important. Our friends at the FDOE are here to help you, right? And so knowing that where you can reach them either through phone or through email is going to, it just always helps to talk to somebody, right? But we feel that when you can have this context and when you can have this background information, the questions that you do ask of these contacts are going to be that much further along, right? They're going to be that much more informed. And so, you'll get to the answer that you need that much more quickly because you're not trying to learn about all the ins and outs, right? You kind of know where the resources and the information is. Your question is going to be that much more specific and acute to ask these contacts here. Okay, some monitoring visits here. So some specific core monitoring guide for quality assurance compliance. Program change management. All right, so congratulations. We have reached the final, perhaps most important stage in this module. So this is the kind of final steps here, and then a learning activity, right? So again, you can do this on your own. I think Jean-Marc and I would both, recommend that you find an accountability partner and you do this together, right, with somebody. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of information. If you can have somebody that you can talk, to about this, whether that's at your local, program site, or whether it's someone in this course. So you'll see this here, this people tab. Okay, so as people enroll in this course, you'll be able to click that people tab and see, okay, everyone who's enrolled here. You can contact them actually through this inbox tool. All right, so you can email people directly, say, hey, I noticed that you're in this course. Would you mind talking shop? Could we get together for a virtual meeting over tea or coffee and talk a little bit? Exactly. Nice. It's great to network. And so this is the more that you can network, the more that you can see, hey, how are different districts, colleges, community-based organizations, what are they doing, right? How are they accessing these resources? And again, we met several administrators. They were all very nice people. So and that I'm very willing to help. Okay, and then finally here, like I mentioned, this notebook for new administrators. And this is the kind of scenario, right? You make an appointment with Sherry, our virtual accountability partner, to share what you wrote in your notebook for new administrators. The following are some suggestions to prepare for your meeting. So this can actually be, even though this is, something that's a kind of fictitious, scenario, it could actually be something that can help you when you prepare for a meeting to contact one of those contacts, right? That I shared with you. So this is that notebook activity. Okay, this is the discussion. You're part of an online community of adult education administrators where you come together monthly to share experiences and ideas about your programs. Initial post 1 to 3 of the questions that you brainstormed in Module 4, Unit 5. Share some of the possible ways you could use your program level data to inform programmatic change. So this, again, is just kind of like practice for what you could actually apply, right? It doesn't have to be, just some kind of imaginary scenario. This is actually a discussion board that you can share your ideas with other participants who are going to be engaged in this activity as well. And then here we have the participant feedback, right? So take a few minutes to provide brief and thoughtful responses to making this module, what you learned from this module, and how you think maybe we can further develop this module. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and I want to let's see here. I'd like to open it up to some questions from you all, questions, suggestions, and while you're thinking, feel free to share in the chat any of your questions. And while you're doing that, I wanted to share the enrollment information, right? So you can use this QR code. So if you scan this with your phone, you can access the self-enroll. And I'm also going to copy and paste the URL and paste it in the chat. So 2 ways to self-enroll. All right. I just want to thank Joseph Reed at IPDE for providing his support for setting this up for us, this self-enrollment option. So this really makes it convenient and easy for you to enroll. You can share this. Please share this with your colleagues around the state. They're welcome to enroll, okay, in this. And once you're enrolled, you're in. You can access everything that we looked at. So let me see, going on from here. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that feedback. All right, I'm just going to hold that up. And I'm just going to wait a few more seconds to see if there are any questions, suggestions, or any other feedback that you might want to provide in the chat. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me back up here. So should we use, this is from Jocelyn, should we use the same password we use in IPDAY? You don't have to. You can if you want to just, if that's easier for you, but it's not a requirement. And Allison asks, is it saying invalid? It is saying invalid username and password when I try. So, did you? Uh-oh. Let's see here. I had the same issue. Oh no. Okay. So it's saying invalid username and password when you try. Let me see here. Let me look in here and see what happens when I try.
So it went through for me, but I did use my regular login though. So people
Huh.
don't usually have logins for Canvas that they've got readily available. So I do
Let
wonder,
me,
maybe Joseph has a sense.
let's see here. You're enrolling in open enrollment, new administrators. Yeah.
Did not work with the Canvas credentials. Okay, interesting. So maybe we do have to sign up for an account with IPDAY. So if you have Canvas that you're using in your own kind of environment, that wouldn't be the one. So we would have to sign up with IPDAY for an account and then use that account to sign up for the course.
I tell you what, okay, so a little workaround here. If you would, since the chat is going to be saved from our webinar here, if you would put in your email, okay, into the chat. And then, yeah, can you email us the link? I didn't get where to scan the QR code. Here, let me go ahead and kind of share that again. See if, here's the link in the QR code. So, so go ahead and put in your email. Thank you. And so once we kind of figure out what the issue is, I hope we can use your email to help with this process to enroll you. That might be the issue here, is that you need to we need to add you with your email potentially first, and then you'll be able to enroll. So our apologies about that, but we're learning about this as well. This is the first time we've utilized this self-enroll option. So again, just please put your email here. And I'm glad that we figured that out now instead of later. So thank you everyone for putting in your email. Please continue to put in your email. Again, this, once we kind of figure this out, I think if you go to FAQ, it asks you to enroll for a free teacher account with Canvas. Okay, Anna. So if you go to FAQ, it asks you to enroll for a free teacher account with Canvas. Okay, we'll look into that, Anna. Thank you. Yeah, so keep on putting in those emails. As we're going through this here, I just wanted to just thank a few folks here. I wanted to thank Rachel Ludwig for her vision for providing this resource to adult education administrators, as well as with helping to establish the initial course objectives. Also wanted to thank June, Tammy, and Joseph at Florida IPDAY for all of your support with setting up this Canvas LMS and everything else that you do. And also Debbie Meyer and Kathy O'Neill from the FDOE for your review and your helpful feedback on this resource. So if you wanted to get in touch with Jean-Marc or I, here's our contact information. There's our email as well as our QR codes to connect with us through our websites. So thank you, everybody. Jean-Marc, did you want to add any closing remarks?
Just please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about this. And if we can't answer the questions, we'll make sure that we'll sort them in the right direction, and we'll have somebody get back with you to do that. I can't remember if we had already decided that somebody from DOE, FDOE is going to be kind of managing this course, not as an instructor, mind you, because it's not really a course, it's more of a collection of resources. But I don't know, Ramin, if that has been decided yet, but there are some contact information, kind of like there's contact information within the resource as well. As you saw, there were some tables with specific names that you can reach out to for specific questions. But if you have more general questions or suggestions of what might be changed or added, feel free to also reach out to us to do that.
Yeah, and as we saw there on the home page, once you get to the home page, you'll see the contact information for Debbie Meyer. So that's going to be the contact for the course site if you have any questions, and I'll just share that really quickly right on the home page. So for questions or concerns, you can contact Dr. Debbie Meyer, Director of Program Implementation, and there's Debbie's email and phone number. But thank you all again for your patience with this. Thank you for putting your email addresses. We'll look into how we can add you all, and hopefully we can do that as soon as possible. So with that, if you would, if you could give IPDAY your feedback on how valuable you felt that this webinar was to you and your participation. So let me see here. I'm just going to launch the feedback survey. So if you could just contribute to that, please. Are you all seeing that poll for the feedback survey? Yes, thank you. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to let you know that the next webinar Wednesday will be, of course, next Wednesday, April 19th. And that is on the topic of teaching geometry to GED math students. And Jean-Marc and I will not be presenting that, but it sounds like a very important topic nonetheless. So again, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate you all. We both hope that we can meet you all in person, maybe at a Florida-based conference here in the near future. And we hope that this resource is of value to you, to your staff, and to your colleagues. And we're all doing it because we're trying to help support our staff, our teachers, and our students at our programs, right? That's what it's all about. Okay, everybody, thank you so much, and all the best.